truck driver training applicants. They basically what they did, their policy was that, say I walk in and he walks in, we have the same qualifications, i.e. we both have a pulse. And that's what they had back then. That's all you had to have. So these folks walked into Prime, and the whole idea is, aren't we great, we're going to give you free training and then put you out on the road. Well, bad EEOC and private attorneys of these women had filed suit and made them defend themselves because of these women being sexually harassed. So now, knowing that this is a possibility, what's the best way to deal with that? Well, you don't hire the women. So he goes on and he just gets in the truck with the trainer and goes on and either works for them or doesn't, whatever, that's his choice. I don't get that choice. Why? Physical difference. I am a female, he is a male. That is the only difference. And I don't get to go forward because I have to wait for a female trainer. The problem is, as we know, there aren't that many females. There certainly aren't 50% females. And this, a lot of the women that we represented were applying in 2008 and 2009. If you remember 2008 and 2009, there were a whole lot of people applying for jobs that they had never applied for because they lost their job. Real estate people, oh gosh, I had teachers, I had real estate people, small business owners. A lot of women who had never even honestly thought about truck driving needed a job. So they applied, they were told, you know, yeah, you're ready to go, we'll let you know. And they told me things like, don't go looking for another job because, you know, when we call you, you've got to come, like immediately or you won't get the job. So they would bring them down to Springfield, Missouri and then have them go out on this whole training school thing they had. So, unfortunately, it would get to be like 4 weeks and 6 weeks, and they keep calling back and saying, what's the deal? Why can't I go out? And they hadn't even really told most of the women the reason was because they had to wait for a female trainer. But most of the time they just say, oh, you know, you're on our list, we'll do something with you soon, no problem. So what happened was a woman named Deanna Roberts went, and she had been a truck driver and she was extremely well qualified, and she went to Prime, said, you know, I've driven this type of truck, but I want to be trained on, I think it's LTL and Crossroads. You know, Prime was actually very big. They had like 2,000 employees. They were in Canada, Mexico, the United States, and she wanted to be a Crossroad. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you. I knew all this stuff at one point. Anyway, that's the job she wanted. And they told her, unfortunately for them, we can't because we don't have a female trainer. She said, I don't care. They said, it doesn't matter what you want. We don't have a female trainer. And she said, I am, you know, certain age, I have kids, I need the job. I don't care. I'll go out with a male trainer. I'm here to learn a job, to make an income. That's all I want. Well, we don't allow men to train women. And so you can't go out. And she called back and finally found out from one of the trainers, or one of the recruiters, that she was on a waiting list. Well, the waiting list became it was a little smoking gun we had, because they kept saying, oh, it didn't really hurt these women to have to wait, because men had to wait too. No, if you stood Jane versus Joe, every time she waited, and I think all except maybe a few times, they didn't get the jobs because there were no women trainers. As this went on, look, it's 2011 when we filed the lawsuit, and they were still using this policy, which I know their own lawyers had to tell them was not going to stand up in court. But so that's 8 years. Now they have really no women because the women can't get in because they have to have women trainers, and there's no women trainers. So literally no women there. Women who are trying to get in can't do it. Yeah, if you'll go. So we have to try under the law, another thing that kind of slows you down to getting to a lawsuit, but it's a good thing in a way. We had to try to settle with Prime prior to the litigation. Again, we tried to work with them. We told them these are the women, this is what we think their back pay is. We weren't asking for anything beyond that, and they wouldn't settle with us. let's see, said all this, so it was large refrigerated flatbed and tankers. So one of the most important things, and something that, I talk to an awful lot of people over the phone, and people are pretty cool when I talk to them about, okay, you understand, if you have EEOC file your lawsuit, it means that it will be public. You may not get as much money because we will not settle without letting everybody know, because the whole idea is to deter other big employers, little employers, to deter other employers. And I really did not ever have somebody say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm going to go get a private attorney. For one thing, we're real cheap. It didn't cost anything for them to do it, but also because it really was very important to the women I spoke to be sure that this policy changed. So, let me go on. Yeah, Prime says no, it's not illegal. And then it said, it's interesting how Prime said it. Sometimes you want to look real carefully at people's words, or especially corporations' words. Prime argued that its policy was put into place to reduce claims of sexual harassment of female drivers. First of all, they did always, and how much of this can I talk about? I can tell you that there were a lot of women who had claims, and the way they were treated is that it was in quotation marks. They didn't take claims very seriously. And they weren't reducing sexual harassment, wasn't what they cared about. It was that they cared about the money that it would take to have to deal with these silly claims. So basically we ended up in court, like I said. Generally in a discrimination case, you can imagine, I don't say to you, you know, gee, I really wish I could hire you, but you're a white male and we just don't hire white males. That doesn't happen, or a black woman, or a gay man, or whatever. What happens is I fill your file with all sorts of stuff and say you don't play well with others or something, right? And then I fire you because I wanted to get rid of you, or I starve you if you're a truck driver because I don't like a gay person or a black person or whatever. So this was like Prime just literally saying to the federal government, no, you can't tell us what to do, and we're doing this discriminatory policy, and that's too bad. So, on August 14th, 2014, this was a huge deal for us, so we were very excited. Missouri federal judge ruled that Prime's, quote, same-sex training policy violated Title VII. Probably not as thrilling for everybody to hear about summary judgment, but basically, summary judgment is another way that you won't get that. A prosecutor says you stole something from Walmart, you don't get to file summary judgment against them. But if you're a corporation and we, the government, say, I'm prosecuting you because you sexually harassed this person or you discriminated against this person, many of those cases go away because large law firms represent these folks and they file a lot of motions, and one of the motions that they've been very successful on is called summary judgment. Without getting into it, basically just gets rid of your case. So all those women who we had, you know, flown, they drove back, they were driving trucks, they left their kids, we did depositions all over the country. We ended up with 63 women, and you know, we, as a lawyer for the EEOC, we did child care, we did all sorts of stuff because we needed to have these folks to testify for us, and we needed their depositions, and we needed the evidence of what they went through. So anyway, so those women would have gone through all that, and if a defense attorney had filed a summary motion and summary judgment motion, and the judge had said, too bad, you lose, that would have been it. But never happens. We won. Plaintiffs don't usually win those. And so what that meant is the judge said, it is 2014, guys. It was 50 years ago when we said you could not keep women from getting jobs because they're women, and that's what you did, and you can't do it. So we won on summary judgment. They were liable. Next thing we had to do is to follow up with that and get with each of the women and get into a lot of detail, something like you guys have been talking about. I didn't know anything about trucking. This was about my third trucking case, simply because it seems to be an industry with a lot of employment problems. Yeah, oh my gosh. But, you know, we had to be very careful about trying to find out the back pay because Prime, again, fought us for years on this, finally stopped that darn policy, and women didn't have to go with male trainers. They could say, I'm willing to wait for a female. It was never a point of somebody saying you have to have a male trainer. And by the way, I got some really horrendous witnesses who got scared out of being deposed. Some of it really is like the movies and stuff. Who I spoke with, who were sexually harassed by this woman, by a woman, and, you know, told, I'm going to throw you out in the middle of the night, I have a knife, and blah, blah, blah. So the point being, it wasn't that the person was male necessarily that made the difference. The difference was Prime had the legal responsibility, and my gosh, they made a great profit off these people to protect these folks from sexual harassment. That's the law. If you don't think you can do it when you're talking about truck driving, don't do truck driving. And I mean that is to Prime. If you can't protect your employees from sexual harassment, then you can't employ these folks.